check, 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 check. Hi everybody, it's time for another update. Got into Albuquerque last night about midnight, unpacked, got things sorted, picked up mother from the airport. All in all, went to bed at 4 o'clock. And today is just a couple of hours of free time, really, because family wants to hang out and get dinner. Friends want to break in their new couches and all that stuff. But we've got a couple of things on the list that I'm going to try to knock out quickly. So the first one, most important one, is we've already driven 3,000 miles since the rebuild. I changed the oil at 1,000, and now it's been another 2,200. So it's time for an oil change. I'm only ever going to really use VR1 in this engine because I want it to last a long time. It's a couple bucks more per oil change, but it's really worth it. As far as filters go, I'm sticking with my wicks. We've discussed in the past how the original filters on these cars were bigger. Let me see if I can show you one. The old Fram PH8A that came on Ivy is twice the capacity, and the modern filter numbers are all the shorty, kind of regular, the same thing that's used on every red block. From this car on backwards to, or forward to the B230 engines from all the Volvo 247, 49, 40, etc. Okay, so we've got our engine oil. The next thing I need to do is the gearbox. It's SAE 30, and of course it's still leaking. Well, why not? And that is going to be a quart and a half or 1.6, 1.7 pints. I don't know. It's a gearbox. You drain and fill. So got my SAE 30. I've been using those on the gearboxes exclusively. I don't use gear oil because you don't want to find a GL5 gear oil, which is pretty much every gear oil you can get is going to be GL5, and they'll say GL4 compatible, but they're not. If they are GL5, they're not going to be nice or kind to your brass synchros. So SAE 30, the Volvo book says is okay. They also say you can put in like 20-40 engine oil, and then of course 80-90. In the 60s, everything was GL4 just about, but now things are changing. Speaking of 80-90, I'm going to be doing the rear axle. I would be fine with leaving the oil in there because it's only been 3,000 miles, and while we did top it off once with maybe 1 quart or maybe a half a quart total when the oil seal failed last week, it's actually a 25-year-old tube with 25-year-old grease. So any deposits on the inside or old residue or gunk that may have existed from just doing a couple drain and fills has by now probably broken itself up and dirtied the fluid. Not to mention the center carrier has broken in, but there's not much to it because we didn't change the ring and pinion gear set. We just put in the third member, which has the spider gears. But if there is some sort of coating on those gears the same way there is on a ring and pinion, that will dirty the fluid, so I'll be sure to do a drain and fill there. I think I'm going to do a suction and fill because I don't want to open the seal on the differential and have to seal it up. Alright, Piggly Wigglies, aka my Strombergs, are running filthy rich, and we're not that high. I mean, it was fine in Colorado, but here it seems like with the heat and the mile-high elevation, it's running too rich. And especially on takeoff, it has a moment where it kind of lurches, the gauge drops down to 7, and it's just not really happy. I could lower the needles more, but really the thing that made it run super rich in the first place was the moment I adjusted the floats to their spec. That's when it got pretty bad. I put them at the maximum, which puts the least amount of fuel in the bowls. Maximum within the range, it's like 15 to 17 millimeters, so how big of a difference is that going to be? I don't know. But I might just end up changing the float, or the needle seat, needle ball, the thing that stops the gas from overflowing. And I think because they are different front to rear, if I can standardize them to both be the same, that just means I have to open a box of gaskets that I kept closed just in case I didn't need it. But honestly, it's time to just go over it once more and make sure that we're getting fair fuel, but not too much fuel, because it's running too rich. It's fine on cruise, but it's really unhealthy going uphill, and I don't like that. I also have to use the choke to give it a little bit extra idle when it's at a stop so that it doesn't die, because it's running kind of lean at idle, rich on driving, and I don't know what it is. If the fuel level is too high and it's sucking in too much fuel when the dash pots are up and the vacuum is drawing the fuel, it makes sense that a higher level in the float bowl will give you a richer mixture, and it makes sense that putting it low would give you a leaner mixture, as it's kind of sipping more into the air and kind of helping to aerate. So I think I'll go back and move those needles again after resetting them. I'll leave the carbs in the car and just need to let it cool down for a couple hours, but I think it's going to be another late night. All that's just to say, Lucas upper cylinder lubricant for the injector cleaner, you know, it's good for gasoline and diesel for maximum fuel economy, but the thing that's important to me is eliminates the need for higher octane fuel, safe for any engine. This should help get a little bit of some of the gunk that may exist anywhere in the passages, and help with some of the pinging. I think pinging is ultimately what will break top compression rings, and we don't want that happening, especially after all the money put into this engine. And now, monitoring my mixture, my sensor is overheating a lot, so it's on its way out. There's a 1-year warranty on my Bosch wideband, which goes with the Innovate wideband MTX-L. This is now being replaced, and I'm going to put a spacer so it doesn't overheat as much, but it really seemed to be unhappy. It got to the point where it would start overheating every 5 minutes of driving, although today she's been behaving. I don't know what that's all about. So that's just kind of all my list today, and one of my favorite little bits is chrome beauty rings from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Who would have thunk it? They look pretty standard universal. There's the cutout for the little whistler, and then there's all the teeth. It should work just fine. It says it's chrome plated, and honestly, I'm pretty excited to get these on because it would be nice to have some bling on the wheels since I couldn't use the chrome wheels. And that is a good reminder of any time I mention something and you're like, what are you talking about, chrome wheels? I didn't see you do that. It's because I posted about it on Instagram, because right now I'm in the middle of a big trip, which allows me 0 time at a computer, but a lot of time to be on the phone when I'm waiting at a gas station or about to go to sleep, and I have a few minutes of brain power left to kind of formulate some sort of post. So that is all what I'm up to now, and we hit the road tomorrow, the long, hard stretch that is Texas. So if there's something that I've discussed here and you're not sure weren't you in Albuquerque before? What are you talking about, Colorado and Nevada and California and Arizona? Look at my Instagram, Mr. David Bello. Patreon also gets those same posts. And another friendly reminder, our fundraiser, halfway funded, and we have until the end of September to kind of get all that to its goal of $6,000. We're right at $3,000. So I just want to say thanks again. The support's incredible, and it's been really nice to stay with people along the way and meet new people and see old friends as well. So without further ado, I've got a lot of work today, and this is it for our update. Texas tomorrow and the day after, since it's a big state. There's a hurricane in Louisiana over the weekend, so Sunday through Tuesday could be dicey if we're out in that area, but we might just end up going north before that. We're not sure. It's a lot of play it by ear and just sort of how are we feeling, how's the car doing. Oh, and another thing I might do on this trip actually is take the dash pots from Amy, which are actually the original matched set to Ivy's OE carburetors, or I should say whatever I got the car with. If they seem to work, then that'll be good. Alright, my light's flickering at me. It's telling me time to disconnect the battery and get to work. Thank you.